Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Sean Lang. Now, I've spent the last several years building and operating a digital agency that is now past 75 people. So that's really shaped how I think about decisions and the things that really matter as things start to get complex. Now, just a reminder, we still have a free community with tons of helpful agency resources, templates, frameworks, AI tools, things to just make your life a little bit easier as you go through this perilous journey of trying to scale your agency. So this is all free. It's agencyuplift.co/group. You can access all of it there. I hope to see you in there. Now, without further ado, let's get to the episode. This is a solo episode, and I'm going to be talking about the importance of a 30, 60, 90-day roadmap with your new hires. Let's get into it. So first, now a lot of people think that hiring is the hardest part, but you're not really done at hiring. The real problem is that you need to figure out whether the person is a fit after you've made the hire. The game does not end after you hand them the job. That's really where the game begins. Most agencies hire somebody, then they onboard them, and then they just kind of assume success for the first little bit. You know, no news is good news. Well, that's actually not really the way it works. No news just means that you don't have a flow of information or clarity, which is most agencies that I talk to. The reality is that you don't actually know for months and months whether somebody is a fit. We need to do everything we can to mitigate against that and fix that. But first, I have a story for you. So I hired somebody years ago at the agency, and they had a really strong resume. They had a very reputable agency background. They had mostly good references. There was one that was quite lukewarm, but I chose to ignore it because the other references were good. This was actually a red flag. If you have even one reference that isn't willing to praise the person that you're calling them about, you should probably dig in deeper. But that is a topic for another time. Now, when I interviewed this fellow, he was very confident. He was very competent. He communicated well. He was very calm and collected and thoughtful and methodical. And that is really what I was looking for. We were hiring an account manager, and a lot of our account managers up until now had been kind of shooting from the hip. And we really wanted someone who thought first and really found the proper way forward in order to, take care of our clients as good as possible. So my early impressions were very, very good. I thought that he was exactly what we needed and what our team needed. It seemed very, very positive. So at the end of month one, I noticed that he was still very slow, very methodical, very calm and collected. He asked lots of questions and he was just learning lots. And so this seemed positive, but at the end of month one, I thought that things would have sped up by now and they hadn't. There's still very little application of what he was learning, very little execution. And we had just given him his first client. That seemed to be going okay. In month two, we gave him his second client and he was still very slow. He was starting to say, just let's wait, guys. I'm still figuring things out. And month three was kind of the breaking point because when we hired him, the expectation for the role and in the interview and in the job description is that he would have anywhere from 5 to 7 clients, depending on the size and complexity of those accounts. But the reality that we learned in month three is that he felt capped at 2 clients. He said, I'm at capacity. I couldn't possibly take on any more clients. And this was a huge issue for us because we realized that having him on the staff managing 2 clients was not financially viable. It was costing us money. We realized that it just was not going to work. We tried to coach him up. We tried to, and initially we actually tried to solve the problem with process and tools. And the issue was actually, it was a people problem, unfortunately. Very nice guy, but it just didn't work. And we ended up parting ways with him. But this was after 3 or 4 months. This was after a lot of time and money and energy and resources had been wasted trying to make somebody work that was not a fit. Key reflection here is that the failure wasn't just that we hired him. It was that we had a lack of early clarity and checkpoints to make sure that he was a fit. I let it go on way too long because I wanted to be nice. I wanted to give him a chance. And I think that we all feel this way as agency owners because we want to be liked by our staff. And probably the more honest thing here is it was really inconvenient for us to admit that we still needed to keep hiring and that this person was not a fit. I could have identified so much earlier on that he was a mismatch, but I chose to ignore it. So the core concept here is the 30, 60, 90 roadmap. Now, every role in your agency needs a clear progression roadmap. We want to define it at day 30, at day 60, and day 90. The purpose is for you to evaluate fit on each of these milestones and for them to understand the expectations for each of these milestones. They need to know from day one what is expected of me by day 30, by day 60, and day 90. We want to remove ambiguity on both sides because this is a two-way relationship. It's not just about it working for you. It also needs to work for them, and they need to have the confidence that they can do it. A big mistake that agencies often make is that they assume, well, we hired them. They were the best at the interview, and so obviously they're a fit. But the reality is that fit is proven over time. And the truth is that most people don't really hit their full stride in a new job until months 6, 9, maybe even later than that. So we need to structure our validation of them and their fit as early as possible. Another thing that we really, really get wrong is that we evaluate the wrong things first. We're not starting with skills, all right? We did that when we hired them. We checked their resume. We did some kind of test assignment. We looked through their portfolio or whatever. So we're not evaluating skills. We're actually evaluating culture and values. And if you don't have values defined, we always want to default to those minimum operating principles I talk about, which is, are they displaying a bias for action from day one? Are they displaying proactive communication from day one? Are they displaying ownership from day one? If your new hire from day one isn't already modeling these things, they're not going to be a fit long term. But if they are, then that is the baseline. That is, okay, this gets you through the door. And then the skills and how you develop as an employee is what sort of keeps you, right? So how do we structure the first 30 days? Well, I actually like to break the first 30 days down into 4 weeks. So for each week, you need to define at the end of week 1, what must this new person have completed? Training, different tasks. What must I or the team have observed in this person within week 1? And what red flags must not be present within week 1? We do this for week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. We don't get this granular for the rest of the 90 days, but it's for the first 30 days because we are trying to make sure as early as possible that they are a fit. And if they're not, we are not looking for ways to make excuses and say, well, maybe they didn't have this or maybe they didn't have that. I mean, you have to be reasonable about it. But at the same time, if at the end of week 1, they have shown you that they don't have a bias for action or they're a terrible communicator or they don't seem to have a sense of ownership and they want to point to somebody else, at the end of week 1, I would say, they're not a fit. This is not going to change. This is the best they're ever going to be because they're new and they care about what you think. So at the end of week 1, that is your notification, your sign to let them go and move on to another hire. So month 1 outcomes. By day 30, you should be able to say they demonstrate core principles, right? They've met the team. They've been given tool access. They've completed the onboarding. They've completed the training. And by the end of day 30, you still have to believe they are likely a strong fit. If you can't confidently say that, this is a problem. Get a second opinion from somebody on the team, but that is your sign that we probably don't want to continue with this person. Up to day 60 is our validation phase, right? We're still validating cultural fit, behavioral patterns. Now we're laying in early performance. We've given them responsibility. So examples would be taking on some initial clients, managing a small scope of work. And the key question here is, based on where they started and where they're at, are they trending upward? We want to make sure that they are developing because they should be on an upward track as they get to know the team better, as they get to know the service better, as they get to know the agency better. They should be, integrating and just, trending towards a more full-fledged employee. And then by day 90, they should be close to performing at their role expectations. Maybe they haven't quite hit that stride yet, but they are close. So it's not going to be perfect, but they need to show that they're clearly capable and they're clearly progressing. And if not, then you need to make a decision. Either be very intentional about correcting them if you believe, truthfully in your heart, if you believe that they can be corrected with very, very clear intervention and very, very defined, or just part ways. The real purpose of this roadmap is not just to onboard them. It's a decision-making system. It needs to help you avoid dragging out bad hires, which a lot of us do. Avoid emotional decisions. Hiring and firing should not be emotional, but the minute that, people's livelihoods are on the line, we start to take it very, very personally, and firing never feels good, right? And unfortunately, one of the most important things you can do early on is identify a poor fit and fire for you and also for that person as well. And we also want to catch misalignment early. The key insight here is that every failed hire is going to cost you time and money and team energy an opportunity, and implementing the 30-60-90 roadmap will reduce these costs dramatically. So every role should have its own roadmap. Every agency's version is going to look completely different, but skipping this entirely is not an option. If you don't define success early, you will be guessing later, and you're going to be picking up the pieces from the things that did not work because maybe these people shouldn't be on your team at all. I hope this is helpful. I'll see you guys in the next episode.